So the infinite game is a concept from James Carse, and he basically shows us that finite games are played to win and infinite games are played to keep playing. So what game are you playing right now, and who else gets to win when you do? Is worth thinking about. So to ease the pressure a bit from purpose has a quite a daunting, heavy tone to it, and it feels quite cosmic and godly, you could say. And yeah, it might help a little bit to shift that to like the concept of a mission. And so if you were the first player in a game in your life, what would the main mission be that you'd like to achieve? And what side quests might make life worth living for along the way? And what side quests might be absolutely useless and pointless and destroying? And, essentially have fun and explore, but try not to die. Um, and so, yeah, with our story collapses, if purpose was our compass, meaning was the map, and right now many of us seem to be wandering without one. So if we can find meaning in three places, Viktor Frankl kind of outlined that we can find meaning in our work and in our love and in our suffering. And we could look at that from the context of creating something. How do we create something of value? How do we connect with someone and everything authentically? And how do we confront things that are difficult to confront with courage and vulnerability? Act three is about how do we reboot and how do we connect to ourselves and to others and all. So we want to first define the person we want to become. And this might take some time and self-inquiry. But there's a brilliant guy called Otto Scharmer, and he has a theory called Theory U. And it's really around how do we connect to our open mind, our open heart, and open will. And so an open mind to see things differently and suspend judgment, to suspend and depattern how we would have approached or responded to something before, to open our heart and feel deeply into what emerges and what future wants to emerge itself through you, and an open will of how do we act from an inner knowing and a congruency and alignment between mind, heart, and body. And I would argue that having a purpose-driven mindset that's tapped into flow and that you could potentially use microdosing and micro habits could help unlock all three of these. And to know that there's many times in life where we're going to fall out of that balance and congruency between mind, heart, will, and that centeredness and groundness where we are aligned with what we want to do. And when we get knocked off, how do we have the tools to pull ourselves back? And so essentially what we want to start thinking about now is how do we draw our flow map? And in the next class, I'll go more into flow states and such, but how do we assess the current baseline? So to know where we're starting from, how do we clarify the destination to know where we want to go? How do we anchor it into our why and define what drives us? How do we architect our belief systems and build internal frameworks that support flow and support this kind of mission and vision? How do we start to map our peak states to make these novel choices that make life worth living? And how do we alter our states to kind of have consistent breakthroughs, but bring us back to baseline to show up in the world where we can embody by fueling, resetting, and moving and aligning our body and energy with our performance? And how do we consistently keep our egos in check by reflecting and refining and adapting to stay responsive but not reactive? And how do we integrate and evolve along the process and leverage altered states as a tool for lasting change? So to assess the baseline, we want to start where we are without spiritually bypassing that. So just looking at our personal layer and going into our body, mind, habits, quite simply, how am I really doing in these three? How's my thinking? How's my moving? How's my doing? what's draining me and what is fueling me. Then we look at the we, the relational layer. Who is in my corner and who am I helping beyond myself? And where is that either like lifting me up or draining me? And then we can look at the all integral systemic layer and what bigger patterns am I playing out or bigger meta stories am I playing a role in? And what world am I showing up? Sorry, am I building by showing up? And so hopefully after a bit of that context, we start to look at these ethereal onion layers a bit differently, and who we want to be starts to get a bit grander, and our aim gets a bit higher. So William Blake said, I must create a system or be enslaved by another man's. I will not reason and compare. My business is to create. So essentially, a quick 4-step timeline for personal growth as we first dream it. Define the wildest, most exciting version of your future. Break it down. Turn your vision into concrete, time-bound goals. Own it. Identify who you need to become and what's holding you back.